Today's episode is a little bit different. I've got some content from another expert to share with you about the biggest mistakes online course creators are making in their marketing. And the good news is you can hear about these and avoid them. So let's get to it. I can't wait to share them with you.
Welcome to the Course Creators HQ podcast, helping you navigate the latest techniques for creating and marketing online courses. And now, here is your host, Julie Hood.
Hey there, so excited to have you here for episode 230 of the podcast. And the good news is I have a free gift for you from today's expert. So it's Tom Poland of Leadsology, and he's always fascinated me because he has this entire system and business around helping people get more leads, which we all need all the time. We're constantly wanting to connect with new people and share our expertise and our courses and our coaching. So make sure that you grab his free ebook. I've got the link in the show notes. It's at coursecreatorshq.com/230. That's /230. Or if you just want to go straight to it, you can go to coursecreatorshq.com/Leadsology ebook. So either way, go to the show notes or check out the ebook and grab what Tom has pulled together for us. And it's basically a full book for you, but today I'm going to pull out a section that I really want you to think about and contemplate. Maybe grab a piece of paper in case you want to take some notes. And I'll list these in the show notes too, so you can go back over them. But he has an entire section of the book where he goes over the most common mistakes that folks are making and helps you kind of learn from them and avoid them. So I thought I would walk you through a few of them. We'll see how many we get through in this episode. And mistake number one is putting tactics before strategy. Tactics before strategy. So what he's talking about here is that tactics are like the execution steps that you're doing, the actual things that you're posting or you're guesting or all of those tactics that you can physically do. But before you can do a good job with those, you really have to understand your strategy first. And I love these questions that he has. It's on page 53. What does my ideal client look like? So have you thought about it? Do you know who you're trying to reach? What significant act of transformation can I perform that would be highly desirable for my ideal client, which we talk about all the time? Third one is, what marketing message does my ideal client need to hear or read in order to make an inquiry? And on that one, that may take some experimentation. You may not know that immediately. So give yourself some time to test out some different messaging. And then the last question, where does my ideal client hang out and what mediums will be most effective in reaching out to them with my message? Another thing that we talk about all the time, but I totally agree with him. If you start just randomly posting on Instagram and you don't know who you're trying to reach or what message you need to give them, it's going to be really tough to reach the right people, and it'll be frustrating. So that's mistake number one, which is taking and executing tactics before the strategy. Mistake number two is random acts of marketing. So it's kind of related, where you're just throwing things up there in lots of different places and it's inconsistent, the timing is off, and different confusing messages. I see this a lot with people who don't get results right away and then they start jumping around. Oh, I'll try something else and I'll try something else and I'll try something else. And they aren't giving things long enough to actually take and get some traction. So stay away from random acts of marketing. Mistake number three is relying on word of mouth marketing, which this one I don't see so much with online folks. I think this is more brick and mortar kind of businesses that just use people referring them, as opposed, like online, there's so much more that we can do. So I don't notice that mistake as much with course creators. Mistake number 4 is copying a high flow model. And this one, I really want you to kind of analyze a little bit deeper, because I'm not sure I 100% agree with what he's saying on this mistake. I kind of get the point, but I look at it from a slightly different perspective. So the good news is, this is why we have different experts, and you get to decide who it is that you most want to listen to. But the concept here is that there are marketing teachers, marketing gurus, who say that you should do the product funnel, where you get a lot of people in at the top, and then you sell them a low ticket item and work them up to a higher ticket item, which I kind of like that concept. But his problem with it is that, in able to make it work, you have to get a lot of traffic. And that's where I dispute this a little bit, because he's talking about if you have 10,000 visitors to a landing page, then you'll get 1,000 people to opt in, which is only about 10%. And I think that's a terrible number. I shoot for more like 50, 60, 70% of my opt-ins. So you need a lot less traffic when you can get the higher conversion rates on your opt-in pages. So this is where we are differing in our approach. Is I think you can get better opt-in rates so that you are getting more people on your list. And it also, I will say, this particular mistake also varies with your audience. So, for example, when I'm working with course creators, sometimes I'll get someone that's ready to jump in, but very often folks have to hang out for a while before they jump in. So I'm okay with getting someone just jumping in and hanging out with me for a while, and they will jump on board when they're ready. So this is where, think about your audience and think about what is it that is going to work for you in particular, and what's the best solution for your audience. Mistake number 5, offering a traditional service. And this one we pretty much already have covered as course creators. So the concept is that if you're offering the same thing as everyone else, that then people who are considering buying just buy the cheapest thing. But with a course, it's unique to you. It's very unique to the stories that you tell. It's unique to the way that you teach. It's unique to your experience and what you've seen. So that one I don't think is very common for course creators. Mistake number 6, a failure to niche. And this one I sort of agree with, in that it helps when you have a specific audience that you are targeting. What I don't want to happen is that you get hung up here, because I've had some of my students who get so wound up in making sure they have a niche that they don't, or niche if you say it that way, that they don't actually take action. So really, I just want you to think about this as having a specific group of people that you are talking to. And however you want to describe that, it doesn't mean that you have to say they're between 28 and 32 and they live in this part of the country. That's not necessarily how you describe it. I just want you to have a specific group of who you're trying to reach. And it may just be a specific promotion that is targeting a specific group. So you could have multiple groups that you're talking to at different times. And I'll link, I have a whole episode that we did in the past about the fact that you don't have to have a niche or a niche. So I'll link to that episode in case you want to listen to it. It digs in a little bit deeper on that. Okay, mistake number 7, a failure to respect pipeline principles. And basically what I pulled from this one is that you constantly need to be looking for leads to bring into your pipeline, so that then on the back end you have students and clients coming out of it. And that if you stop generating leads and you stop putting people into your pipeline, then you're not going to have the students and the new leads on the back end. So very common issue, like especially if you're one of the folks who does a lot of done with you kind of work. Sometimes you can get so busy that you are missing out on the lead generation side. So you just have to keep both of them going all the time. Mistake number 8. This is an important one. If this is the only one that you take from this episode, this is one I want to be with you for the long term. So number 8 is a lack of lead generation scalability. And what that means is that first you figured out your lead generation process and you've set it up so that you can do more or pay more or however you get to more. You're able to generate more leads and scale then based on that. So it's kind of a more advanced topic, but it is really, really important in the long term. And it takes some of my clients a while to get here, but this is where you want to be for the long term. Is I figured out my messaging, I figured out my process, and I figured out how to turn the dial and get more leads whenever I want to. So that's your long-term direction that you need to be headed. And then mistake number 9 is another one that I think is super important but hard to measure. So mistake number 9 is the failure to establish know, like, and trust. And I would add another one, which is belief. So it takes people a while to trust you and to get to know you and to kind of like what you're doing. And so expecting them to immediately jump in and sign up and pay to work with you is not always a reasonable expectation. So you got to give them time and content and ideas and ways to get to know you so that then they can get to that know, like, and trust factor. And then even more important, believe that you are the one who can help them, believe that you are the best solution for them. So that one also very hard to measure if you're trying to see, am I doing a good job with this? But I think the most obvious one is that you will see people signing up and you will see that you're getting results because people are getting to know you, and then they like you and they're telling you they like you and they like what you're doing, and then they're jumping in. And then I'm going to jump ahead. There's actually 16 mistakes in the entire book. So go ahead and grab the free download of the book so that you can catch the other mistakes. But there's one more that I really want to talk about. And this is mistake number 12, thinking that cheaper prices will increase demand. So cheaper prices may not always increase demand, because sometimes I'll talk with folks who have a course price and then they're like, oh, I'll just offer it cheaper and then I'll get a whole lot more people. But sometimes what ends up happening is the process of coming up to a sale, the process of getting people to know, like, and trust you, it doesn't necessarily go down if you cheapen your price. You still have to go through that process of getting folks to get to know you. So maybe the price is not the place that you should be playing with. Maybe there's something else that you need to do. So I hope you will grab the Leadsology book from Tom Poland, CourseCreatorsHQ.com/230 for episode 230, or you can go to /Leadsology ebook and grab it there because it's really good. And this was just a section that I pulled out, the mistake section. There's a whole section 3 is all about how you actually do the marketing side of things. So I pulled out, because I thought these were interesting and kind of an easy way to sort of check out where you're at. But I would love for you to also jump in and make sure you get a hold of the section 3, which is his 10-step in-demand lead generation model. So he walks through each of those, and that's what the majority of the book covers. So I hope this was interesting and that you learned something new and that you're thinking about what you could change inside your course business, and that this was a helpful way to kind of share some of this information. If you like this, please let me know, because I can do more of this and set up ways for you to get free books so that you can learn from other experts. If this is an interesting way to get content to you, I would love to hear it. And thanks so much for being here. Thanks for listening and jumping in, following, subscribing, sharing the podcast. Anytime somebody says, what podcast are you listening to? If you could share this one, I'd appreciate it. That's how we get a hold of more folks. So thank you for being here, and I hope you have an incredible week, and I'll talk to you next time. Take care.